Oh, hi. Didn't see you guys there. I was busy doing some research into the whole Hollywood SAG-AFTRA strike, and apparently Netflix is willing to pour $900,000 into finding a single AI developer. Weird. Weird how they can't afford to pay their actors, but they can't afford to, throw $900,000 just into research and into finding one single AI developer. It's almost as if everyone who was ringing the alarm about, the dangers of AI were right the whole time. I'm pretty sure it's not going to just stop there. They're going to replace people digitally. They're going to change your voices. They're going to be able to use you in perpetuity. And apologies, I was doing a bit. There is no need to be concerned with AI taking over roles or creators and creating near flawless digital replicas of their likeness and voice. That is why there is no AI news. Notice the background is no longer but news, but a casual video. Anyway, onto video.
I got a Barbie cake every birthday if I was a good girl.
Increasing humanist 95%. Ooh. So you saw the title slide, and most likely the thumbnail of this video, unless you're one of those weirdos who just push things on autoplay and this video just came up. If that's the case, why? And also, thank you for the engagement. So yes, we are going to talk about the Barbie movie. More specifically, we're going to talk about the conservative reaction to the Barbie movie, but really, and even more specifically, which is the best kind of specific, we're going to talk about Ben Shapiro's reaction to the Barbie movie. It's actually funny that I just said his reaction as if he only had one, because he had more than that in regards to Barbie. Jesus, Ben, for a guy who doesn't supposedly, like the film, you sure to create a lot of content in this film, way more than you needed to do. But we'll get to that later. First, let's see what peak of masculinity Benny Shap has to say about the film.
I just got back from the theaters seeing Barbie and Oppenheimer. I'm about to review both of them. I'm going to tell you which one of these is the best blockbuster of 2023 and which one is maybe the worst.
I bet he loved our movie, right, Ken?
For those of you who can't wait that long, I'm going to give my review of the Barbie movie in the most Oppenheimer fashion.
What the Run.
Cool, very normal way to start this review, Ben. As a man who was definitely a film critic and not just writing wave of Barbie-Mania in order to, drum up some views on the algorithm. But again, we'll get to that later. I'm teasing you guys. You watch the whole video or just skip to the end when I give you the TLDR. But don't skip to the end. I put some effort into this one. Please watch. Please. Anyways, it may surprise you guys, but surprisingly, Ben Shapiro does not like the Barbie movie. And don't take it from me. Here, let Ben tell you why he doesn't like it.
The movie is a flaming piece of dog piled atop an entire dumpster on fire, piled atop a landfill filled with dog. It is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. On every possible level, it is a horrific movie. The only thing that can be said for this film is production design. The production design is really nice. The costumes are really nice. Also, it's really hard to screw that up. It's really hard to screw that up because you literally have this to model after. All you have to do is this, but big. Okay? It's really not tough. But put aside all of the beautiful costumes, which is there for the ladies, and all of the production design and the Barbie universe and all of that. Every joke that happens in this film happens basically within the first 45 seconds of the film. So, for example, Barbie turns on the water and there's no water. Ooh, because, like in Barbie house, there's no actual water. Do you get it? And then she drinks, but there's no actual liquid in the actual cup. Oh my God, because she's a Barbie doll. Oh, I get it. Okay, that's all the jokes. There are no more jokes for the rest of the film. The movie's a show. Okay, so conceptually, the movie is a show. I want to ask this. Who is the intended audience for this film?
So, Benny boy, first things first, I have also seen the Barbie movie, so I feel like I have some authority in this area. And I hate to break it to you, but you're wrong. All the jokes don't happen in the first 45 seconds of the film. I don't even think...
From now till forever. Do you guys ever think about dying?
The bit about her contemplating her mortality, or the depression Barbie who was watching the BBC, those are jokes that happen not in 45 seconds of the film, Ben. Those happen later on in the movie. The same movie that your producers dragged you to watch. I mean, they literally put jokes that happen later in the movie in the trailer. And it's not one of those things where it's only for the trailer. It's actual in the movie. So just a great start off here, Ben. Just lies immediately. Also, for the target audience of the film, now, Ben, who do you think the target audience is for the Barbie movie? A film based off a property that is famously targeted to girls/women, has a movie. Do you think that you are the target audience, Ben? Do you think that you are always the target audience? Oh, no. No, you do. I don't know why I even asked. Anyways, let's continue.
So, it starts with Helen Mirren explaining that back in the day, girls would only play with dolls that looked like babies. And then she says that this could be fun, at least for a while anyway. Ask your mother, because your mother actually hates you and doesn't like being a mom, you see. So if you ask your mom, she wants to play at not being a mom sometimes. Okay, so the basic premise is Barbie is supposed to be the independent woman who liberates all womanhood, but she fails. And she fails for two reasons. One, she's actually a tool of the patriarchal capitalist system. And two, the real world has rejected the message of Barbie, which is that women should run everything. Okay, so this is all not implicit. This is explicitly said. At the beginning, the monologue, you have Helen Mirren saying, because Barbie can be anything, women can be anything. At least that's what the Barbies think. See, in the real world, women can't be anything. And that's one of the messages of the film. In the real world, men run pretty much everything, which is weird. Who greenlit this piece of shit? I mean, Greta Gerwig is a lady. She's making a good living off of this. Margot Robbie is playing the lead. In fact, the entire cast, aside from basically Ryan Gosling, is women. So it seems like women are doing okay. But again, put aside the meta logic of it. I'm going to go through like a lot of beats here. So it starts off with the idea that mommy dolls are bad and insufficient. But then they criticize Mattel for discontinuing a mommy doll named Midge. Right? Midge is the pregnant doll and it was discontinued. They're like, that's bad. But hold on, you just said that dolls about motherhood are bad, but then this one, don't look for any sort of logical coherence.
Yeah, except for that's not what happens at all. Guess I'll put a big old spoiler tag here for like the rest of the video, but no, Ben, again, that's wrong. The main point of the movie is about a sad mom who feels disconnected from her tween daughter and then rediscovers her old Barbie dolls and then plays with it, but her adult sadness transfers over to Barbie through like some meta layer. And now Barbie, played by Margot Robbie, bars, has to go out and find out who the hell's causing all these problems for her and turning her into like a weird Barbie. By the way, weird Barbie is basically the kind of Barbie that exists when kids do what kids do and just like, you know, split the legs, cut the hair, draw on all that weird shit. Yeah, that creates a tulpa of a weird Barbie. It's a strange movie. Now, during her adventure, she becomes more aware of the fact that her being Barbie doesn't actually fix the world. And is actually in for a rude awakening when she meets up with America Ferrera's teenage daughter, who calls her a fascist, which is what Ben was getting at. But the movie doesn't hate Barbie. They literally have the daughter and America Ferrera, and Margot Robbie travel to Barbie Land, and the daughter ends up liking and respecting Barbie. Like, they literally have a montage of while they're traveling back to Barbie Land of the daughter getting more and more and more into Barbie. Her whole anti-Barbie shtick doesn't even last that long within the movie. So it's weird for you to say that this movie doesn't know if they hate or love Barbie. It loves Barbie. That's why they made the movie. Now, when Benny Shabibo talks about men and women being separate, he's alluding to the subplot of When Ben Shabibo talks about men and women being separate, he's alluding to the subplot where Ken discovers patriarchy, and since he's used to women being in control because he lives again in Barbie Land, he brings it back to Barbie Land and proceeds to immediately ruin it. He reduces all of the women to these subservient positions, and that's the problem Ben has with the film. The fact that patriarchy is viewed as a bad thing. Because it is a bad thing, Ben. But let's watch a bit more of this review. Yep, called it. Ben was mad because of patriarchy. and is also, lying. You see, the film doesn't say that being a mother is bad. In fact, it's the relationship between a mother and her child that birthed both Barbie in the first place and fixes the issues, because America and her daughter reconnect. And then that reconnection helps Barbie. They literally work together to bring Barbie out of her existential funk. In fact, there is no anti-motherhood message in this film, no matter how hard Ben tries to make it seem like there is. The reason why the Midge joke was made was because it was just a bad idea. Why would anyone want to play with a pregnant doll, especially when they had other versions of Barbie who were doing cooler shit? Like, what are you gonna do, Ben? Practice Lamaze? Now, this video is long and full of lies, but I want to show you Ben's conclusion so I can, present then my own conclusion. So take it away, you manliest of men.
And she goes into this white area that's supposed to be heaven because the person who she saw, Rhea Perlman, is actually the person who actually created the doll. And we're supposed to be, this was supposed to be a secret, is that Mattel was run by men, but the big secret all along is that a woman created the doll. News, it's not a secret. She was CEO of the company for 30 years. CEO of Mattel for 30 years, from like 1945 to 1975, until the IRS caught her for tax evasion or something. The big reveal that the patriarchy said that it created Barbie, it didn't. No one thought the patriarchy created Barbie. Again, don't bother with the facts, don't bother with sense, don't bother with chronology, none of it matters. So, Barbie is now sent back to the real world, and she is now going to experience the apotheosis of what it means to be a human woman. So we've learned early on in the movie, when she goes to the real world, she's catcalled by a bunch of the construction guys, and she says, "I don't have a vagina." Right? She, again, amazing line for your 7-year-old girl. She'll love it. So apparently, when she is turned into a real woman, she has now grown a vagina. So the first thing that she does is she goes to the gynecologist, because ladies, the apotheosis of your being is not motherhood. We got rid of that at the very beginning. And it's not being a wife or a partner, because women are supposed to be apart from men. It is your vagina. It is that you go to the gynecologist. Ladies, this is what makes you the most human you can be, is that you go to the gynecologist. Now, I could point out here that that's really transphobic. That according to the same people who made this movie, not all women have vaginas. And not all people with penises are men. I could point that out right here, because it obviously conflicts with the very ending of the film. But instead, I'm going to go with this one. At the end of all of this, they've boiled down. They have a whole conversation about identity and death and meaning, right? This whole conversation. What does it boil down to at the very end? What it boils down to at the very end, apparently, is being biologically female is the only thing that matters. And that's it, kind of. That's it. Like, it all just boils down to a lady at the gynecologist. That's female power. Female power is Barbie goes to gynecologist.
Okay, wow. Oof. And yikes. Ben, first off, kudos on trying to make this a transphobic ending, considering that the fact that both you and literally every member of your crew of, I would say, ghouls, to, not get my account banned on YouTube, literally create transphobic content on the regular and then promote it. But then you go on to say that the ending of the movie is about women having vaginas, which is completely a transphobic ending. See, if you actually watched the film and understood it, the ending was about Barbie having agency and making her own decision, finding more about herself as not the stereotypical Barbie that she was created as, but as a woman. And I can't believe I have to say this, Ben, but even though not all women have vaginas, that would mean that there are women who do in fact have vaginas, Barbie being one of them. She's obviously a cis woman, and then as a cis woman would need to go to the gyno. This does nothing to take away from trans women, and it's actually beyond disingenuous and a little bit disgusting for you, all people, to try to make that comparison. There's also a complete lack of understanding from the ending of the film from Ben, so I guess I have to be the one to, give the context. The creator of Barbie being a woman wasn't a secret. Again, context, because Ben lacks it. They were highlighting how even though a woman created Barbie and was CEO for 30 years, according to Ben, there hasn't been a woman in power since. They literally have Will Ferrell, who was this current CEO within the movie, talk about how, oh, what? We're not sexist. I was a child of a woman, and I knew a woman once. That was the joke, Ben. Like the haha, but not really funny joke where even though something was, again, created by a woman, men came and took over. and are getting the credit for it now. That was the whole thing. That's why her ghost is in like this weird space, hidden away, tucked away. And that's why America Ferrera's character is literally the secretary, right? She's the secretary, and then once you get past her and you go to the higher up, the highest place you could possibly reach a motel, it's a room full of older white men. That was them talking. That was the point, Ben. That was the whole point. Like, I don't know how you don't get it. They took over something that was created by a woman for women, kind of like how Ken did, but Barbie Land, a place created for women. It's almost as if there's parallels between, you know, both within the movie itself and our real world. Nah, I must be overthinking. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't give you guys even more context about her saying how she didn't have a vagina, since Ben is trying to say that that's the whole reason why she's an actual woman. She was being harassed by men on the street, construction workers, and she made a comment how she felt like she was getting some real underpinnings of violence. Because this is like, you know, a PG rated movie, this is as far as she can take it. But what she's implying is the threat of sexual violence. And so to protect herself, she said that she didn't have a vagina to discourage them from committing both, you know, sexual violence towards her and to cease the harassment. Sorry, this is going to take a bit of a bummer in the ending, but it warrants being said. Women live under the constant threat of violence of men and from men all of the time. Like earlier when Ben asked who this movie was made for, it was made for women. Women have historically been oppressed by the patriarchy. This isn't up for debate. This is an observable fact. Women were allowed to own property, vote, hold jobs, into the military, and so much more. And that was just from like the legal aspect. Socially, women were conditioned to only be mothers, which there's nothing wrong with being if you want to be a mom, but being told that is your only value is wrong. They are people. That was the point of the beginning of the movie of Barbie. Barbie wasn't someone's mom, but her own person, you know, who went on to become a doctor, a lawyer, an astronaut, like women do. But the whole thing was to show that women could be more than just one thing. But it never said women could never be mothers. They were saying that women could be anything, not just baby factories, which again, fine if that's your goal, pop those kids out. But it shouldn't be conditioned to be your only goal. That is not your worth as an individual, whether you are a cis woman or trans woman or whatever you identify as. We as people are more than just these factories to reproduce or these factories who work at factories. See, but the reason why Ben says this is the worst movie of all time is twofold. First, he probably hasn't seen The Flash or The Sound of Freedom. But secondly, and most importantly, it's because he has to say it's bad. You see, conservatives have made their entire existence hinging on the cultural war, the war against wokeness, the war against, you know, demasculating our men. And Barbie was always going to be the inevitable target of that, because of course it would be. They can just call it feminist woke garbage and it's out to destroy Western society, dust their hands and move on to the next one. Unless you're Ben Shapiro, who made, again, way too many videos about this. It's why he only talked about Oppenheimer once, literally at the end of this video, but called it one of the best pieces of cinema ever. Oppie ticks all the right boxes. It's a story about a man doing the manliest thing a man can do, creating weapons of mass chaos and destruction. And there's boobies in the movie. Did I mention there's full frontal? There's boobies in this movie. There's no need to have analysis of like the gender relations between men and women during that time period. No, because it's all about Dr. Death and his boom boom machine of catastrophic destruction that has literally made certain areas uninhabitable and created multiple birth defects. Cool, real cool stuff, real manly stuff you can just really jerk off to with your gunmetal lube and your spite cockery. So yeah, Ben is a liar who doesn't actually care about anything and would rather drum up controversy about a film that he hates ad nauseum than talk about Oppenheimer for literally more than 3 seconds, because the grift comes before all. Because this was never about talking about reviewing a movie. This was about the cultural war. It's always about the cultural war. That's all they're going to talk about. I'm sure the next movie that stars a woman is also going to be a big talking point for them. The grift comes before all, like I said. There, that's the TLDR. Wait, I was doing like a robot bit earlier, wasn't I? About like the dangers of AI. Beep boop boop. Power down.